This is WBSM On Demand.
Good morning. Good morning. So we have been talking all morning about the city council, the recall petition. Again, I don't think any member of that city, with the limited exception of Maria Giesta, has anything to worry about, okay? And this is really about the 4-year mayor's term. But nobody on that city council, at least nobody I can tell, wants to try to bring it back to a 2-year term. In fact, Maria Giesta and Linda Mora just said it, would like to make their own terms 4 years. You imagine a city councilor? Imagine not having an election in the city of New Bedford, except for every 4 years. 4 years for city councilors, 4 years for the mayor. That's the direction a lot of those city councilors would like to go in, unless I hear otherwise. 508-996. Would you like to see that? 4-year city council terms? Right? They'd love that. Every time you win an election, you get $100,000 plus health insurance for 4 years, and you're almost halfway to the 10-year pension, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris. It's been a little while. So last time I talked to you, you had the mayor on. I didn't know you were going to have him on Tuesday this week. I wanted to call in, but so just listening to your recall thing,
Right.
Chris. All they need to do is shouldn't have to worry. Ian and all these city councilors shouldn't have to worry. Like you said, just like Belichick would say, right? Just do your damn job, right?
Yes, and so Ian does it.
Yeah, well, I mean, granted, but I mean, if he wasn't, or some of these people are not going to do their job, then the city residents of New Bedford, like myself, vote these bums out. If they're going to be a bum, then you don't get elected. And I just don't understand people that come on here or just you meet them in a gas station or at the Profile Tavern, your favorite place, right? and piss and moan, right, about it. Well, guess what? Vote with your feet, vote with your pocketbook, and that's it. And now when you bring up the fact of Shane Burgo or whatever, right? Burgo, yes. Right? Would have these players that go down to Cuba. That should tell you all you need to know with these people where they want to go in the direction of where they want to. So that should be like ding, 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 wanted sign, red flags. I mean, what else you need? So, I mean, but then these Democrats, all these people didn't realize what happened a little over 2 weeks ago, that the voters of America said, enough of this garbage. Yep. And now we got to start with the governors and work our way down, with Maureen Healy, right? Get her out of there because her crazy thing is like, I'm gonna stand in the way. Michelle Wu, what are you going to do? Y'all going to stand there? No, you're not going to put other people like, the state police in the way. They're not going to get in the way. You know what I mean? He's going to bring in the military and bring these people out of here. So like the other caller said, and I brought this up to you with the mayor on, is that about sanctuary city, which it's not, but let's be real. Like I said, the trickle-down effect from Boston, she's placing all these people all over the country. I mean, all over the state and over the country with the Biden administration. So what do they think? We're stupid or something like that? So, and like I asked the mayor, are you going to go up on the taxes? Because if these blue states governors, like in Newsom and in Illinois and Hobbs in Arizona, actually, okay, she opened up her pie hole, they're going to stop Trump's agenda. Go right ahead. The guy? I don't know if you heard this, but the mayor, okay, of Colorado, of Denver, Colorado, he's gonna do everything and say this is Trump's Tiananmen Square. So there are. I mean, this war that we're talking about, that I call it a war, it's just begun.
Oh,
just because Trump's in, and he's not even in yet,
nope.
And they're already going to the shenanigans. So until people wake up and see what's going on, do your job like you're talking about. And you know what? The mayor, I asked him, I asked him this, will you go up on the taxes? But I also said about will you stand in the way? And his answer was, do you agree? I asked him, do you agree with your friend Maura Healey about doing every tool in the toolbox to stop Trump deportation? He never answered that. He went around it like a slick lawyer that he is. Like you said, he might be a great guy, and I'm not saying he's not, but the slick lawyer talk was like, well, we're not going to get away. Yeah, you are. But do you agree with that? I wanted him to say, yeah, I don't agree with her, or I do agree with her. I wanted to hear yes and no. That's a point blank. So that's what I have to say, Chris. When people wake up in New Bedford, if these people don't do the job, get them out, vote somebody else in. And like I said, he might be a nice guy, but I think it's time for the mayor to step down eventually. Somebody run up against him and get somebody else in there, because these guys stay long in the tooth and they let their power get to their head. You have yourself a great day, Chris.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for calling, Dan. Be careful driving. 508-996-0500. That's how you can get on the air. I think I accidentally just dumped a caller, so call back if you'd like. There he is. So what I would say is, first of all, I don't think the mayor is going to violate federal law. He understands the scope of the Justice Department. He served as a assistant U.S. attorney. Also, I would say that not here to answer for the mayor. He'll be here on next Wednesday. But I would say that Mayor Mitchell, like most people, is going to wait to see what the scope of the president's actions are really going to be, right? You can't be opposed to something you don't know. And I would agree with that last caller on the sense that the war has just begun. I saw an interview with a congresswoman from down south. She was with Tucker Carlson. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she said that this was the night of the election. Trump hadn't even won yet. She said, there is no way they can let him take power. And I really happy to agree with her. I feel terrible about it, but I wish the best for my president. I voted for him. I campaigned for him. You know that. But I am very worried for him. I really am. But talking about the local recall petition, let's talk about focus on what we can control. City Council, it's in limbo, okay? It's in limbo. They're not sure what they want to do. Most of them don't like it. Or no, I shouldn't say most of them. The ones who spoke don't like it. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, good morning, Chris.
Hey, what's happening, Nick?
Not much. I'm listening to this morning to the show, and I wonder if it's not the case that there's some special email or something that Democratic politicians and the Democratic Party get communicated to by the Democratic Party, and they're told not to implement recalls and go for longer terms because the writing on the wall is that there's a red wave coming in, so they need them to be able to stay in power, whoever it is, with the city council or whatever. Overall, they want the Democrats that are in power in the various states' offices to vote against recalls and vote against actually vote for extenuation of the terms, in 2 years to 4 years or whatever the case may be, because the writing on the wall is that their days are numbered, so they need to be able to do everything they can in order to prolong their time in place and to ride this red wave out.
As much as I love a good conspiracy theory, Nick, I have to tell you that I do think, and thanks for the call, that remember that 4-year extension goes back a number of years now, long before there was any talk of a red wave, or certainly before the recent Trump victory across the board. So I'd love to join you in that conversation. But no, I want to tell you, it's probably good old-fashioned political instinct and desperate survivability, right? Remember, the New Bedford at-large ballot is set up to favor incumbents. It is incumbents first by alphabetical order, then everybody else. So that gives them a 2 or 3 percentage point advantage over challengers in most traditional elections, most years. If you had a recall, they'd have to stand on their own. So when they run at large, they run as a herd, right? The herd all stays to the front, and then you have the challengers in the back of the pack. So voters tend to go in and just vote through the first top 5. So there's some degree of advantage there, and they know it. They know that. But with a recall, they'd be targeted, have to stand on their own, run on their own. Now, again, I don't think Ian has anything to worry about because last time around, there were 900 votes between him and the next guy, which was Shane Burgo. So I don't think Ian has anything to worry about. If I was Ian Abreu, I'd stand up and say, let's put the recall on the ballot. I got nothing to worry about. He's not taking that posture, though. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris. Gilly.
Hey, Gilly, what's happening?
You know that I always supported the mayor, right?
Okay.
Now, you're bringing up about the city council. When they wanted to make it a 4-year term for the mayor, I was against it. I voted against a 4-year term. And if people remember out there, the people there in the business, the reason I did it and said is because I know that the city council is going to try to do the same thing.
I actually remember you saying that.
Okay? That they're going to want a 4-year term. Okay? So now you're seeing what's happening. And I worked for Linda Morat for 9.5 years, people out there that know that. And I went with the mayor after she lost. And I said that was going to happen. Now, my question is, when a city council, when you say Ian's got nothing to worry about, the only thing, if people realize 40% of the people that vote for the first name on the ballot. 40% vote for the first person. Okay, so that's the way people vote. But the idea of now, they gave themselves a 44% raise. Okay, they went from 14 and 18,000 to 24 and 28. Now they're in the 33,000 because they got the cost of living that they put it in there. So they get a raise every time somebody gets. So that's why they're so high on, like you're saying, I'm the one that brought out what they were really making.
Okay. I didn't realize the cost of living, they got that.
Yeah, they get a raise every year when the cost of living goes up. That's the way they got it in their contract. So that's all they're doing is they just worry about themselves. Maria Giesta and everything. I mean, Linda Morat is controlling that place. She's controlling all those votes in that place. But that's the part that gets me. They are worried about themselves. They're not worrying about the constituents out there.
Oh, they're definitely not worried about the constituents. That is not, because if they were, they would think about it beyond their own terms. It's amazing.
Of course. But I mentioned that long time ago that they were going to try, and they did it. They're still getting the raises. But the bottom line is, when you say about somebody might get put on a thing, but they couldn't take a thing because they got a job.
Yes.
And they won't be, okay? My question is, and I try to find out, how many people have jobs that they get the benefits from their job, not the city, like the city councilors are doing? That's the thing. They're all part-timers out there.
Right.
You talk about city councilors have a job, and you're talking about if anybody got accused of something. And if you notice, the people that have accused the people, the other people they settled with the city, and they can't follow it up anymore. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's a game with them. They don't worry about their constituents. They're worrying about themselves. And like I said to the mayor the other day, he's the cause of everything because Linda Morat. We waited for a year, for an hour and a half for it to come out after she lost the thing. She never came down there. The mayor caused all that problem.
Thanks, Gilly. Thanks. Of course, he's being sarcastic. What he's saying is that the mayor, by beating Linda Morat, all those years ago for the mayor's job, that he made her into the bitter person that we're seeing today. And that everything the mayor proposes, she's opposed to, even if under normal circumstances she would be in favor of it. 508-996-05. Look, the mayor is a much more tax and spend Democrat than Linda Morad ever is. I know Linda left the Republican Party a while ago now. And look, when Linda Morad sided with Shane Burgo and the Cuban-inspired movement of the Shandinistas to go with rent control in an effort to be a foil to the mayor, I knew that she had lost her bearings, because Linda Morad does not believe in rent. I don't believe that Linda Morad, not the one who started in politics all those years ago, the Republican Linda Morad, who I believe she is, really believes in rent control. That's just an abomination to most Republicans, most people who respect private property, and I know Linda does. The idea of giving the government the say, particularly Shane Burgo, the say over the people's rent, it's not what Linda believes, and I know that. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris.
How are you?
I'm good. Are these politicians local and not so local? We know where the governor stands on illegals, and I believe Elizabeth Warren, where she comes from with the illegals. But has anybody asked the question about the local politicians around here? Are they going to cooperate with any federal agents if they come into the city? And do they stand with Elizabeth with the governor with her position?
So I had Chris Markey, Representative Markey, who represents Dartmouth and the north end of New Bedford, part of the north end up in Ward 1. He indicated to me that he would, he's an attorney. He's going to go along with the federal government. He's been one of the only people in the delegation voting to restrict the amount of cash and the amount of financial benefits the illegal aliens can get. So I would say Chris Markey, we can count on him to be a good American. I don't know about the rest of them. I really don't.
Yeah. Can we count on the city councils?
Some.
Some.
I would say that Brian Gomes, Sean Oliver, Leo Choquette, I think you can count on those guys.
Yeah, but somebody's going to ask each of them. Let them talk for themselves, especially the mayor. I want to know where he stands. And Congressman Keaton, and there's a few others.
So I would tell you that looking back in Congressman Keating's record, a number of years ago, he voted to not give money to cities that declared themselves sanctuary cities. He voted with the Republicans. I think he was one of the 3 Democrats that voted with the Republicans, a majority, to basically defund federally sanctuary cities.
Yeah, well, it bothers me with these illegals because, like your father, we both were drafted. And
yes.
We both spent 2 years in another country protecting someone else's borders.
Yeah, you were in Germany, I know.
The border is wide open. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. And we're paying the price. Look at that guy yesterday who was convicted and sentenced to life in prison in America for murdering a beautiful American girl.
Yes. It's more than awful. It's criminal.
Yes.
Criminal. And I just want to know about my local officials. How about the sheriff, the new sheriff?
This new sheriff? No.
Yeah, where does he stand?
You know where he stands.
Yeah,
he's
that's
gonna.
what I mean. Yeah.
He dismantled the operation that the Sheriff Hodgson built to protect America. No, Haru is far to the left of even the governor.
Yeah. And these people, they elected a palooka like him. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with these people around here. Yeah.
Well, I think they're getting wise, but we'll see. We'll see, my friend. Thanks for the call. Ward 2 voted for Donald Trump. Ward 1 voted for Donald Trump. Ward 6 gave Donald Trump a good showing. Certainly Fairhaven, Dartmouth, a Freetown, no doubt about it. Acushnet had the highest percentage of vote for Donald Trump in the entire state. Good old Acushnet. You could count on Acushnet. And these local politicians know they can't get anywhere without either Acushnet, Fairhaven, Freetown, Dartmouth, right? That's all going to be in their district. So we'll get them the next time. We really will. We'll get them the next time. Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, talk more about this recall in New Bedford. What is wrong with these city councilors? I mean, really, they got nothing to be afraid of, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do. To the program, I'm Chris McCarthy, and I love shopping at Carter's Clothing and Footwear. You know, they've been owned and operated by the same family since 1947. Carter's Clothing and Footwear, that's a brand you can trust, right? A brand you want to do business with. They have 2 locations, both here on the South Coast, one in downtown New Bedford and one in Fall River. Both locations have free parking. Both locations have very friendly, consistently helpful customer staff, service staff. They really know the products. You can get in and get out, right? Get your Christmas shopping done in one fell swoop. Now, if you've got friends outside of the area, even friends in the area, they've got some really unique New Bedford gear at Carter's Clothing and Footwear. But besides that, they've got all kinds of great American favorites. Great brands like New Balance and Under Armour, Champion, Levi's, Timberland. Stop by Carter's Clothing and Footwear. Do your Christmas shopping. If you can't find something there that you need, you don't need it. That's what Scott Lang says. If they don't have it at Carter's Clothing and Footwear, you don't need it, right? They have been doing South Coast clothing really for decades. You can trust Carter's Clothing and Footwear. Head down there, do your Christmas shopping, and even if you can't find something you want, buy a gift card, buy a gift certificate there. Anybody will accept. It's good as gold. So stop by Carter's Clothing and Footwear. They're in Plymouth Ave in Fall River, 55 William Street in downtown New Bedford. If they don't have it at Carter's, you don't need it. We're going to go right back to the phones. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, my friend.
How are you?
I'm here. Hey, look, we got this recall stuff. Again, it's solved by going back to the 2-year mayor.
But it's not on the table.
Poo-pooed it. Well, yeah, you're trying to dislodge it to keep your friend Mayor Mitchell in there. I understand that. But as much as you love that, remember, Park Motors is near you, and as goes New Bedford, so goes Fairhaven. So be very careful with that. Be very careful with what you wish for, my friend. No, but that's the way you got to do it. You go back to the 2-year mayor. Then the people have a say on who the mayor is going to be and who your city councils are going to be. The city council went after the mayor with this when he got his 4-year thing, and this emanated, this recall thing, from them. They were so the mayor, who political science-wise beats them. Economics, he was an economics major. I don't know where he got. I thought he was a political science major. He does that very well. So the mayor came back and went, okay, we'll go after you guys too. And now they're all chasing their tails and they're worried about, I'll lose my power. Hey, if they even lose an election, they're going to get their pension, so they won't have to worry that much, nonetheless. But the mayor outmaneuvers him. He with what he does. But that's the real solution. There's one other thing I want to bring up too.
Sure, go ahead.
Tom Kennedy came on the other day, and I'm glad that he came on. He's a guy that's been there. He's done that. I guess he must have had some issues getting himself some housing. A former city councilor that has problems doing that. What else can I say? I can't understand it. But nonetheless. But he's a voice of reason. I'd like to know what he feels. What's that?
Oh, no, I agree with you. I was glad to hear from him. I think you heard me say to him, where you been? Because people were asking me off the air about him.
Yeah, I'd like to know what he thinks about this, whether he thinks recalls and 4-year mayors or 2-year mayors are the best thing. He's been there. He's done that. And, again, he's got a very good mind, inside information because he's been on the council and stuff like that. So I hope he calls more, okay?
Me too.
And I guess that's all about I got to say. But please go back to the 2-year mayor and stop all this wasting time on all this stuff. And, yes, I agree with you. A lot of the city councilors who are afraid of a recall, you got nothing to be worried about if you do your job. What can I say? So I've said enough today.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. So what I say is, look, go back to the 2-year mayor. I don't have any problem with that. I think it was a better way to do it. Stop envisioning that the mayor's always going to be John Mitchell. It probably will be for a couple more terms, but it's not always going to be John Mitchell. And Scott Lang's not coming through that door anytime, right? So contemplate the worst possible scenario, right? And you'll recognize why, when you contemplate the worst possible scenario, you realize why you need a recall petition, right? You need it. And the fact that you have these city councilors holding it up. Look, Brian Gomes has already qualified for a pension. Linda Morat has already qualified for a pension. Ian Abreu, I believe, will qualify after this term. The only one worried about a pension is Maria Giesta. That is the person holding this up. She is holding it up because she doesn't like being there. She likes getting the health insurance and the paycheck. It's $50,000 every time she wins an election. She can't get that anywhere else. So she's desperately clinging to this position, and she's holding up everything in that city council. So what really should happen is the city council ought to put a 2-year term back on the ballot for the mayor's office, right? Except that some of those city councilors envision themselves being the mayor, and they don't want to do it for 2 years. They want it for 4 years. That beefs up their pension. It's your 3 biggest years. You win one mayor's election, you get a pension based on $100,000 as opposed to $25,000. That's what it's all about for many of these people. I know you've got things to worry about, like that crack in your windshield. Don't worry anymore. I got a solution for you. Here's your solution. Pick up the phone or go to your internet machine and go to Citywide Glass, or pick up the phone and call Citywide Glass in Dartmouth or Fall River. Citywideglass.net on the internet. Citywideglass.net on the internet. Make an appointment. The mobile unit will come right out to your home or your work, home or office, and they'll do the work right there in the driveway of the business you work at, your parking lot, or right at home. Probably won't cost you anything because they accept all insurance. Now, while they're fixing the crack in your windshield or the crack in your husband's windshield or your wife's windshield, or God forbid, your kid's windshield. Remember, it's getting colder. Cracks in the windshield are very dangerous, right? In the winter, it's extraordinarily dangerous. You don't want your kid driving around and his windshield or her windshield bursts into pieces, right? So do the right thing. Call Citywide Glass in Fall River or Dartmouth, or go right on the internet, book an appointment, citywideglass.net, and go outside, put a little bow on it, right? Hey, that's a cheap Christmas present, right? Honey, I fixed your windshield. Merry Christmas, right? Merry Christmas. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning. Even though it's a rainy morning, it's still a good morning.
Always. Every time we're awake, it's a good morning.
There you go. Well, I'm going to take the opposite side. I've worked in government, and you, as a former selectman, know that there's only so much you can accomplish in 2 years. I think 4 years seems sound to be able to get things done. 2 years goes by way too quick, and you know how government moves. It moves sometimes slowly.
Yes.
So any ideas or policies, you're not really going to see it. You're not going to see it through. Like I said, you're a former selectman. You understand that. But what I really would love to see a change in government, besides, recall vote, is actually term limits. Because, whether or not, whoever it is there now is a good person, I get that. But you know what? It's the same stale, old ideas. We need fresh ideas. And the only way you're going to motivate people to run, because as you've said on the program many times, people don't want to run because, it's hard to beat an incumbent because they've been there for so many years. Well, that's how you put an end to it, a term limit. That way people will be able to step up. No, they had that chance, that opportunity to become the next city council person, because it's the same old ideas. What's really come new from this group. All I've really gotten out of it is, oh, we messed up on, putting in for the grants for the water treatment plant. Mm-hmm. Sorry, taxpayers in New Bedford, you got to pay for this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You need people that are not too comfortable in their positions. And the only way you're going to get that is term limits, fresh turnarounds, and people with fresh ideas. And that's my position on it.
Hey, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Look, the voters of New Bedford, the vast number of voters who turned out all those years ago in that city election to vote for the 4-year term, they agreed with him. And look, there is certainly an argument to be made for a 4-year term versus a 2-year term in terms of what can get accomplished. But there's also an argument on the other side. The thing is, now that you've had a few years of a 4-year term, maybe it's worth revisiting. Maybe not, though. But the city council would have to put it on the ballot. But many of them in there want the 4-year term, figuring they got an opportunity to be mayor. Most of them will never make it. But that's what's holding it up. When you think about how they're talking about the recall, how personal it is to them. They think it's really about them. And maybe it is. I don't know. 508-9960. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. 05. So we've been talking about the recall petition, which is now in limbo because the city council really came to no real determination. And I have to tell you something. If you're a taxpayer in the city of New Bedford, either a business owner or a resident, many of you are both in this audience, you should better be very concerned because you lived for years with no way to succeed John Mitchell if he for some reason left the job before finishing out his next term, right? That has just finally maybe been settled. Now, this recall, you could get any sort of character into that mayor's office. When you think about the people that have run for it, right, over the years, you get some fine people, but you also get some not so fine people, right? So we're going to dip back into what the city council was doing. This is Linda Morad, veteran city councilor, who's already qualified for her pension. And again, her pension I don't think really matters. She's already qualified for it anyway. But she's worried about something I don't think she has to be worried about. This isn't about the city council, although it does contemplate having the city council in the recall petition does cover the city council. But I can't imagine anybody trying to recall Linda Morad. What? Because she stands up too much for the taxpayer? I just don't see it. But here she is holding it up.
Unless there's a conviction of a crime. So those are my comments, and I don't, I would like to, if you're going to do something on a recall, it would have to be for a specific reason. And as I said, these levels are definitely not high enough. They would certainly have to be higher for me to be considering that. So, yeah. Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Morad. And I'll sign Attorney Jake's recall petition when you get it typed up.
He's not elected. You have
all right. I still... Chair recognizes Councilor Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to echo councilors from the North End and from the South End. The first one, I don't see a 2-year term, a recall. Number one, it would be very costly in that short amount of time to even have a recall within the year, then go back the next year and have another election, especially on 2 years. I think it's a waste of money unless there is something egregious and something for cause that would trigger for somebody for 2 years. I don't have any problem with for elections for positions that held a 4-year or more term. That's fine, but I think that if we're going to push even for that we should have something we should have something for cause. You know, I don't see, you know, like my good counsel to the left of me, you know, something could happen that the entire council makes a vote that is for the people, but one person can muster enough signatures to recall the entire council if they wanted to. And 600 is really not a lot of registered vote signatures because you can.
So I'm not sure, based on that comment, that these councilors even understand, it's not going to sound ridiculous, but even understand that, yeah, you get the signatures. It still goes to the ballot for the voters. What Naomi Carney just said, and God, I love her, is ridiculous that the council does something for the good of the people, but somebody could go out and get the signatures and get it on the... Yeah, but then it has to go on the ballot. And the people, if you really did something that was good for them in this scenario she's creating, would then rally to your defense. I mean, the idea that some one person is going to go out and get all these signatures, right? They have one signature. They have to go around and get signatures. Then that triggers an election in which the city councilor would have the opportunity to defend themselves to the people. So under the scenario where we did something good for the people, but one person could go out and one person could only get their own signature. It would require hundreds, thousands of other people to disagree with the position of the council to even trigger this. So I'm not even sure this city council even understands what they're really debating. Every other councilor should have got up and said, I'd like to point of information, Councilor Carney. What the scenario you just created is a literal impossibility. Good Lord. Take a break. We'll be right back.
Trying to cram lost years into 5 or 6 days.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. We're talking about the recall that probably never will be, actually, because what's going to happen now, well, nothing's going to happen now. It's in limbo. So what has to happen is first the city council has to pass it. It has to go back to the mayor for a signature, and then the mayor will send it up to the state legislature, for a vote of the House of Representatives and the Senate, right? And then the governor signs it because it's a home rule petition. It's a change to the charter. So really, these city councils are trying to run the clock out. It's pretty embarrassing, really. And the fact that I just played a clip for you, I'm not even sure that all of them even understand it. Really, they are so worried, and I don't know what they're worried about. Maybe we have to start looking a little closer, right? Maybe we have to start paying more attention. What in the world are these councilors really afraid of? I know not all of them. Leo Choquette actually wanted to make it easier for the recall. He wanted to actually lower the number of signatures that the average taxpayer has to get, or resident of the New Bedford area has to get, to even put the recall on the ballot. So not all of them are afraid of it. And I really don't understand why any of them are afraid of it, really, except for Maria Giesta. She got the job. She doesn't do the job. She shows up, gets the $50,000 when she doesn't have to show up to get the $50,000 for a term, but she gets the health insurance, gets the pension credit. In one more election, she'll get a pension for life. She'll be on the taxpayers for the rest of her life. Pension, health insurance, right? Nice kiss in the mail and health insurance. She already got a federal one. She wants a city one now, too. And she's right within striking distance. Maybe the Voters Award, too, will say no more. No more. Let's go back to listen to the city council.
and get that, because it's registered voters, not the people that voted in the last election or the election before that. They're registered voters. So I'm not for anything in the act for the recall for a 2-year term, unless it's for cause. Other than that, I'd say get rid of it or put a cause in there how you can recall a 2-year term.
Yeah, I would just say on the idea of the egregious behavior and having that as the threshold, just that there can be differing definitions of that, and I could just see that being kind of an invitation for litigation at the outset. What do you mean by egregious? Did it, rise to that level? Because it's not as clearly defined a standard as something like being convicted of.
Right. I'm
taking your point. I'm just trying to.
Like my good counsel said, like something that's like a
That's
felony.
Michaela McDermott.
There are egregious
attorney.
acts out there that we could put in for cause.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't want somebody serving me as an elected official. I think maybe we should put a little more thought in that. Either that or just get rid of the 2-year, because to me it's a waste of money. Number one, you're looking at under 6 months, but you still got that term, because you could be in the 13th month and then.
So I agree with Naomi Carney on that, right? Just get rid of the recall for the 2-year people. If that's legal, I'm not sure if it is. In other words, just have it apply to the 4-year term of the mayor, because that's the only one who, as an individual, that's what we're talking about, right? You're going to recall an individual elected official. Nobody on that city council has the power to do anything, really, on their own. None. And certainly not, all right, while there's a recall going against them, right? Nobody on that council has the power to do anything on their own. You have to go out and get a couple other councilors to go along with them. Now, don't get me wrong, they can probably do that, but if one city councilor has gone rotten in the barrel, right? One bad apple, wouldn't even matter. It's only the mayor's office that you really need to be concerned with. And every one of those people on that council right now has been elected in competitive elections, re-elected in competitive elections, with the exception of Leo Choquette, and he's the only one that's not afraid of it. The only one. So think about that for a second, right? The only one, because he knows he's doing his job. By the way, a lot of them are doing their job. I don't know why they're worried. But Naomi Carney finally spoke the truth, which is